That's Randy Marsh. Dan Iasanez at first, Marvin Hudson at second, Lance Barksdale at third. Beautiful night here at Turner Field. Can't believe this is mid-July, but a very pleasant night and should be a good ball game.
Global warming, what global warming? Temperature in the 80s, and it's going to be in the 80s all weekend. And luckily, the forecast rain showers have missed downtown Atlanta, so should be a perfect night for Braves baseball. And we are underway. A quick strike. Jurgens ahead of Angel Pagan, the Mets center fielder tonight. No homers, 3 RBIs for Pagan. He's had an injury-plagued year. And Casey Kochman, flashing that Gold Glove caliber defense, flips to Jurgens, who does his job, and there's your first out. Kochman has yet, knock on wood, to commit an error since coming over from the Angels last year.
He's been outstanding. And you know, we were talking about this a little bit before the game, Chip, that if you look at any of the Braves starters in the rotation right now, in my opinion, the guy who most closely resembles Greg Maddox in his style of pitching is Jair Jurgens. So it's fitting that he's out there tonight. Fastball and an outstanding changeup, circle change, much like the one that Maddox threw.
Is it just the stuff, or is it the demeanor, or a combination of those things that look, and we're not saying Jurgens is as accomplished as Greg Maddox, but
no,
what about him in combination? Is that the deal with?
It is for me. I mean, in his second year, his poise and just his general stuff, and a guy who doesn't strike out a lot of people, but is capable of striking out 8 or 10 a night, much like Greg was.
Luis Castillo, the batter, at .289 on the year. He's 2 for 4 in this series and has been one of the few Mets that's been healthy enough to play virtually every day and has been productive at the plate. There's Jerry Manuel, the Mets skipper. They are decimated by injuries. There's no escaping that fact. But there's also no escaping the fact that David Wright of the Mets is tired of using injuries as an excuse. They've got to make do with what they got until Delgado and Beltran and Reyes all come back. And those three have missed a combined total of 141 games this year for New York. They missed just 9 games in total last year. Well, that's a tough way to manage when you're shuffling your lineup day in and day out, and that's been the fate of the Mets this year.
Yeah, I don't blame David Wright because he gets asked about it every day as the, I guess, the senior member of their ball club that's still out there, why the team isn't winning more. But as you said, he's tried to put that aside and say, hey, we got to win with what we got.
And what they got is certainly competitive, but those 3 players are hugely important. The Mets are hoping to have all of them back by mid-August in the case of Delgado, by the end of August perhaps in the case of Beltran and Reyes, if not sooner for Reyes. And that's low to David Wright. 2 balls, no strikes. You look at Wright's numbers, here it is, 17th of July, and only 5 home runs for David. But much of that has to be the product of their gigantic ballpark. Citi Field is not a very hitter-friendly place.
Home and road splits for David Wright last year, this year only 5. He's on track to hit just 9 home runs for the year. That's a fall off no matter what kind of new park you're playing in.
Yeah, you play 81 games away from home.
Yeah.
But Wright with 44 RBIs, the 7th best batting average in the league, 33 multi-hit games. Still one of the game's bright young stars, batting third for this 42 and 46 New York Mets ball club.
There are some, Chip, that would say that his struggles have affected his defense too. The guy who's won Gold Gloves has already made 12 errors at third base. But I'm sure he feels like he's got to carry the bulk of the load with all those guys out.
Yeah, he's the big star right now on this club. And the 2-2 pitch is lined to right. His former teammate Ryan Church gives ground, makes the catch, and Jair Jurgens with an easy 11-pitch first inning shuts down New York in the top of the first.
Bobby Cox's starting lineup tonight, starting with Nate McLouth at the top of the order. Martin Prado has been red hot, followed by Chipper Jones, whose career numbers after the All-Star break are pretty snazzy. He hopes to repeat that. Brian McCann, the cleanup spot. Garrett Anderson had a big night last night. Then Escobar, Church, Kochman, and Jurgens to round out the order. Mike Pelfrey's on the mound for the Mets. He's huge, 6'7", 230 out of Wichita, Kansas, 25 years old. There are his numbers for the year. He's been a hot and cold guy. He can pull up a gem and then really struggle at other times. He beat Cincinnati in his last start, 9-7, went 7 innings, gave up 3 runs, got no decision against Atlanta back on May 12th, but again pitched 7 innings and gave up only 2 runs. He is tough.
Nate McLouth greets him, takes a quick strike, and to tell you how screwy baseball can be, Mike Pelfrey's earned run average is a run and a half higher than Jair Jurgens coming in. Jurgens is 7-7. Pelfrey is 7-4 for a team that's behind Atlanta in the standings.
Yeah, and we know that Jurgens doesn't get many runs to work with. Their whole staff doesn't get many runs to work with, and yet Pelfrey's 7-4.
Amazing. 1 ball, 1 strike to McLouth, who's behind in the count after taking an 0-for-5 collar in the series opener last night.
Hit the ball hard a couple of times, though. That never shows up in the box score, but he hit the ball on the nose, and since he came to Atlanta, he's hit safely in 25 of his 31 games, so he's been very consistent.
Catches everything in center. Knows how to lead off, can run, as you know. He'll ambush a pitcher every now and then and hit one out of the park. He's hit 5 home runs in 137 Atlanta at-bats. So with the struggles of Jordan Schaefer, McLouth certainly has helped this Atlanta club in center field. This ball popped up in the center of the diamond. David Wright calls off Murphy and makes the catch for out number 1.
Here's the rest of the defense for the Metropolitans tonight. Their outfield, former Brave Gary Sheffield in left. Pagan in center, former Brave Jeff Francoeur in right. On the infield, right, Cora, Castillo, and Murphy. Omir Santos will do the catching. Pelfrey, a #1 pick out of Wichita State back in 2005.
Here's one of the game's hottest hitters this month, Martin Prado. Prado hitting .400 in July. He's tied with Derek Jeter for the 2nd highest batting average this month. And he lines one into the gap in left center field. Pagan takes an odd route, and Prado has an extra base hit with 1 man out.
One of the things that's really been hurting the Mets has been their outfield defense. But Pagan came back from the disabled list and at least gives them a little range, or at least I thought so. But as you said, Chip, kind of an interesting route to that one. He had Prado played over in right center, so he had a long way to go. But how about Martin continuing this hot streak he's on? Outstanding. He's hit in 18 of his last 21.
And 23 hits in his last 56 at-bats. Only Ryan Ludwig of the Cardinals has a higher batting average in baseball in July, and he only has 18 hits. So you could make the case that Prado might be the best hitter in the game right now in the month of July. Here's Chipper thinking about a homer and is down a quick strike.
Chipper last night, his first 3 at-bats, he only saw 3 pitches and he made 3 outs and hit the ball hard 3 times. And then in the 7th inning came up with runners aboard, and on the 2nd pitch he saw a line to single for the game winner.
Not surprisingly, it came against the Mets, who has been his personal whipping boy in his major league career.
It was the 24th career game-winning hit against the Mets. Just against the Mets.
Yes. And that's more than any player against any other team in baseball. And he wouldn't mind jumping in front with the Mets in town in game 2 as he's ahead in this count, 2 balls and a strike. You know the story, named his young son Shea because of all the great success that he had in the old ballpark of the Mets. Kidding with Chipper Jones earlier this year, I said, is Sharon up for City?
I'm going to say no.
I think that is probably the case. 3 balls and a strike.
during the course of the night, depending on how long Pelfrey's out there with base runners on, he allows a .321 average against him. And he's also committed 6 balks. That leads the league. So he might get a little rattled, and more mistakes are made when he's working out of the stretch.
I think he had 3 in one game. As he misses to Chipper Jones outside, 2 are on with 1 out, and Brian McCann. And our colleague Ron Darling, who covers the Mets on SNY, said that in that game where Pelfrey balked 3 times, they could have gotten him for 2 more.
Is that right?
Oh yeah, he was totally lost command of where to put his feet. He was a wreck mentally during that game.
Last night, the Mets had a chance to pitch around Chipper when he got that game-winning hit. In fact, Trey Manuel had gone to the mound and had talked to Bobby Parnell perhaps about pitching around him. And of course, he made the mistake of leaving one out over the plate. Chipper burned him.
So here's Brian McCann. He has worn out Pelfrey. 8 hits and 20 at bats. And he too thinking about a first inning home run. Boy, the Braves have been hacking away early in the count last night against Perez and tonight against Pelfrey.
Chipper talked about it a little bit after the game, about how from the get-go they were swinging at the first pitch and very aggressive. That was against Oliver Perez, a guy who had given them a lot of trouble over the last couple of years.
Come on, Mac.
1 ball, 1 strike. Pelfrey's had first inning problems this year. Funny thing about this game, I mean, it happens to the best pitchers in the game. Tom Glavine was a guy that historically at times had some first inning issues. If you didn't get him then, you might not get him at all. Pelfrey laboring now in the muggy Georgia heat. Watches McCann lace one foul to stay alive. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Good hitter. Come on, Mac.
They were expecting a crowd of somewhere around 40,000 tonight, but I think all the build-up to Greg Maddox's night and having his number retired really got the fans pumped up, and not too many empty seats. As I said, there was a rumor about standing room only.
1 ball, 2 strikes. Braves averaging about 28,000 fans a game, and there aren't too many empty seats in the ballpark tonight. Nothing creates a buzz for your club than playing before a capacity or near capacity crowd. And the other side of the coin, I'm sure nothing gets the fans more excited than seeing a team play good baseball. Braves have gone undefeated at home this month so far. They're 8-5 in July, trying to make a move after the break.
I'll add one more thing that gets them excited, and that's being able to honor one of their heroes.
Yeah.
And being able to take part in a little history. And baseball, of course, so connected to its own history, and it's a wonderful thing when everybody can come back and see one of their guys be honored like Greg tonight.
Yeah, and it was great to see a lot of the Braves Hall of Famers in the ballpark tonight. Some of them on the dais before the game. As the ceremony got started, David Justice here in town, Dale Murphy in town. In fact, the radio pregame show tonight, the line to get Dale Murphy's autograph stretched from the fan plaza all the way underneath Scouts Alley and beyond the left field foul pole, just to say hello and get an autograph. Just remarkable.
I can vouch for that. I was at the end of the line.
3 balls, 2 strikes, and McCann pops it up and stays alive. Well, you should have asked Mark Lemke. He would have given you the hall pass that would have gotten you to the front.
Well, see, there's another thing. I mean, Mark was here working with you, of course. I saw Otis Nixon in the crowd. A lot of Greg's former teammates are here tonight. I saw Pete Smith today at the banquet. You know, they show up for their own and proud of Greg and what he's done. And the fans certainly proud of what Greg did for this Atlanta franchise, too.
And I personally, I think we discussed this before the game. I'd like to see the Braves do more with their alumni at the ballpark. As the runners go on a 3-2 pitch that's popped up out of play. We're not talking about retiring every guy's number who played.
No.
But I think seeing those guys who played such a prominent, even non-prominent roles in the 91 to 2005 run for this Braves ball club. That picks all of us up. It makes the fans excited to see them and relive those wonderful memories. I hope that the Braves do more of that in the weeks and years to follow.
I think about that ring of fame in Florida. I think Dallas has one too.
Toronto
doesn't have to have a number next to the guy's name. Just the mere mention, mere sight of their names conjures up great memories.
Runners go again. Swing and a rocket hit to right and off the fence. Prado scores. Chipper around third. Relay to the plate is off the line. 2-0 on a bullet from Brian McCann. Oh man, did he smoke that ball. That almost went through the fence.
What an at bat. Fighting off tons of pitches, gets a high fastball, levels off, and just missed a 3-run homer by about 1.5 feet. And Chipper on the 3-2 count running gets in there a stride ahead of the throw. Great start.
20 doubles, 39 RBIs for McCann. A 9-pitch at bat culminates in a ringing double. Now Garrett Anderson, the batter. 3 for 4 with a home run last night. His first home run of the year, by the way, Joe, against a left-handed pitcher. That, of course, Oliver Perez.
Yeah, big night for him. 3 hits, including an infield hit that got a rally started. It was in the 8th inning to add an insurance run.
On Andy.
He went back-to-back with NL Escobar last night. First time the Braves had done that this year. And he hooked one around the foul pole off of Perez. And that made it a 2-0 game in the 2nd inning last night.
You get an early lead against, or you give this Braves staff an early lead. It could be a very fun night for the home crowd. 1 ball, 2 strikes. The count to Garrett Anderson.
Here's some more of that first inning trouble for Pelfrey too.
League hitting .372 against him in the opening frame.
Come on, Andy. Good hitter.
And 15 first inning runs in this his 18th start. But he gets Anderson on a good change of pace, and that's your 2nd out.
Couple of good changeups there. I'm sure Jerry Manuel's wondering where's that pitch been this inning.
Yeah, first one he's thrown. Well, you don't want to show everything in the opening inning,
no,
unless you're in deep. You know what?
I've got to save something for the 4th or 5th inning, provided you're there.
Yes, that's always the rub, isn't it? Here's Escobar. 8 homers, 45 ribbies for him, and a .294 average. He's hitting over .400 with runners at 2nd and 3rd base this year for him. And that's going to improve with a 2-hopper up the middle. McCann around 3rd. Pagan bobbles. Escobar around 1st. It's a 3-0 Atlanta lead.
You know, Escobar has really been something special this year, hitting with runners in scoring position and 2 out. He's been among the league leaders all year. He gets a high fastball and doesn't miss it. And Pagan thought he might have a play at the plate, but overran the ball a little bit. And for Escobar, his 46th RBI. He's now hitting .387 with runners in scoring position and 2 out. Amazing.
So Ryan Church, the former Met, gets to hit in the 1st inning. Has to be a interesting feeling for Church tonight, as it was for Jeff Francoeur of the Mets last night. I would imagine for Church, tougher. He had to sit another 24 hours while Francoeur got that out of his system in the series opener.
And that 1 for 9 for him is very deceiving with the way he hit the ball in Colorado. But unlike Francoeur, who hasn't faced too many of the Braves pitchers, Derek Lowe's an exception last night. Church has faced Pelfrey before from his time with Washington. He's 2 for 4 against Pelfrey. Guess the Braves were a little invigorated from Greg Maddox's last comment. Let's go out and beat the Mets today like the old days.
Yeah. In fact, it was nice to see the Mets all on the top step of their dugout saluting Greg Maddox. They were all clapping and cheering and enthusiastically listening to the comments made until that one. Nobody was clapping about that.
All right, Ryan.
High and tight, ball 3. 3 balls and a strike. Boy, he's missed everywhere in the zone in this inning, and up to 30 first inning pitches.
And he keeps trying to pitch inside, but he's pitching so drastically inside that there's no chance of jamming anybody because everybody's trying to get out of the way. And it hasn't been effective so far in keeping them off the outer part of the plate.
Heads up. That gentleman in the orange shirt tried to make the catch to the bat. And is a little worse for wear.
He did the honorable thing of trying to get up and keep it from hitting somebody else, but in the process he got nailed.
Luckily, it looked like it was the handle, not the barrel. But he's walking up the steps under his own power. He'll get some medical attention. And as we all know, the Braves fans are much tougher than those Mets fans. He'll be back probably by the second inning.
Probably went up and poured a beer on him.
Yeah.
Come right back.
Yeah. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Runner goes, and it's fouled straight back.
Win the
And
bat.
out of
Come
play.
on.
I think he's a Tennessee Volunteer fan, not a Mets fan. At least.
The orange?
Yeah.
Oh, I got you.
Yeah. I know he wasn't a Texas fan because that's just not acceptable.
No. Texas fan, he'd be lying in the aisle that never would have hit him.
Yes, good point. 3 balls, 2 strikes. Very good Atlanta start. Braves are walloping the Mets. And a towering fly ball hit to left. Gary Sheffield is under it, and the side is retired. Very productive Atlanta first inning. Prado doubled. McCann doubled home too. Then Escobar with a 3-hopper up the middle plates the third and final first inning run for Atlanta, which leads 3-0.
Care provider of the Atlanta Braves. Visit PiedmontHospital.org. Kelly Johnson had a double last night at Gwinnett on his rehab assignment. Buddy Carlisle worked on the side, actually in a simulated game yesterday, and he says he's ready to start his comeback, as is Tim Hudson, who will work day after tomorrow in Myrtle Beach in his first rehab assignment. All great news.
I talked to Tim before the game yesterday about that. He said he's on his way this morning to Myrtle Beach to get ready for his road back from Tommy John surgery. And boy, when he comes back, that's going to be quite the rotation for this Braves ball club. Yeah, Tim's going to go tomorrow morning to Myrtle Beach, make a couple starts with the Pelicans, then we'll see where he heads next, as Gary Sheffield has an even count, a ball and a strike. Tell you all you need to know about the Mets and their injuries when you say where would they be without Gary Sheffield.
Yeah, it is.
This is a guy that the Tigers felt couldn't do it for them anymore. All Sheffield's done is hit 10 home runs for them, drive in 36, play a very respectable outfield with a bad knee, and hit 292 for his career, 284 for this season. And lashes that ball into right center field. Boy, he still has amazing bat speed. And that's the first Met hit. Sheffield glides around second and throws out an anchor. A leadoff double with Jeff Francoeur coming up. Nice reception for Jeff Francoeur in game 2 with the Mets. And he pops it up into shallow left on the first pitch. Escobar drifts back. And one pitch retires Francoeur. He cannot advance Gary Sheffield.
That's a break for Atlanta. Keep that runner at second base. I'm sure Jeff is so amped up about trying to hit one about 9 miles in this series that it's affecting some of his swing thought a little bit.
Here's Danny Murphy, the Mets first baseman, 248, 5 homers, 29 driven in. The Mets love this kid's bat. Problem is, he really, Joe, doesn't have a true position.
No.
Wherever they play on the ball finds him, and defensively he really has had some problems this year.
I was telling this story last night about when he was in college, went to Jacksonville, meeting the new teammates. Everybody's supposed to tell their name, what position they played. Got to him, he said, "I'm Daniel Murphy and I bat third."
That's about right. Yeah, the Mets love this guy's bat. Remember earlier this year, Murphy was playing left field for New York and dropped fly balls, had trouble going back on the ball, didn't throw particularly well. The Mets and Murphy, to their credit, tried everything to get him comfortable out there. It just hasn't happened for him.
A little more comfortable at first.
Yeah.
Still a work in progress there too.
But getting the run with Carlos Delgado coming back from his hip problem. And the word in the New York papers today is Delgado's progressing rather well, but still another month or so until they think he'll be back.
Reyes with a bad calf muscle and Beltran with a bad knee. A bruise on his knee. Must be a bad bruise.
3 balls, no strikes. That's in there for a 3-1 count. Yeah, there was an article in the New York papers today. The news on Beltran's worse than they expected. Even with all the rest, the MRI has shown that there's not much improvement on that bone bruise, and they actually use the term or the sentence, microfracture surgery is not considered an option at this point. But if you're the Mets, as Murphy takes a walk, any talk of surgery would be a huge problem. And the answer, Bobby, we don't know. Pretty good.
Look very good. Low, I guess. It's the only thing it could have been, but it was above the knees in our picture. Randy might have missed that one. Jair Jurgens in July, coming into this game, had worked 19 innings and he'd walked 10 batters, but only one of those 10 walks had scored.
Ground ball up the middle. Escobar to the bag. Low throw, and what a scoop by Kochman. Jurgens grew up as a major league pitcher in New York last year, you might recall, and he gets a big double play ball to end a New York second inning threat.
and if chosen, we'll answer it later in the game. Here's where you send it.
Casey Kochman lines to Pagan in center.
Don't send it to center.
No.
Send your email to braves@peachtreetv.com, and please tell us your name and where you're from. And remember, more saving, more doing. That's the power of Home Depot.
Still have space on your apron for pins?
Oh, how about that? Takes us a while sometimes to get our mail and go through it.
Yes.
But I had a great package today from Hoyt Smith in Smyrna, who sent me a ton of pins for my Home Depot apron. It was wonderful. Thank you, Hoyt.
Come on, kid.
Jair Jurgens bats. He's down a quick strike, hitting 189 on the season. And he's behind in the count now, 0-2. Braves strike for 3 in the first. McCann doubled home a pair, and Yunel Escobar an RBI single with 2 outs. And the man of the hour is upstairs with us in the booth.
Come on, kid.
Very nice job today at the Braves luncheon. And number 31 retired today. Ground ball to first. Jurgens will be out number 2. Congratulations, Mr. Greg Maddox.
Oh, thank you. Tremendous honor.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's nice to be back. Nice to be back. Great place.
Have you ever heard so many nice things said about you?
I know. I was wondering who they were talking about there for a second. I mean, just a tremendous honor. I mean, you know, with the players that are up there already, to be one of them is just a thrill for me.
We were joking before we came on the air. I said the best comment of the night was one that fans didn't hear, but we had a chance to see when they finally took the curtain off number 31. We caught you looking up, and your words were very cool. Now, in Maddox speak, I guess that's as good as it gets, right?
Yeah, it was. It was pretty flattering. You know, you stare at those numbers all year. It seems like, you know, you're always looking around between pitches, and the numbers always catch your eye. And, you know, you see Hank Aaron up there, and you know he's one of the greatest players to have ever played, and you know to have your number up there next to his is pretty special.
1 ball, 1 strike to Nate McLeod.
Rightfully so. You've paid a lot of respect today to your wife Kathy and the kids for their support, and I was just curious about your son Chase and how he's reacted to all this today.
You know, I'm not really sure. I need to talk to him and find out. You know, he's
because I know he loves the game.
He loves baseball, and he's a little upset he's missing his practices right now, but we kind of made him come, and hopefully a few years down the road he'll really start to appreciate it.
I got to tell you, it looks like he's got a pretty good fastball. Throwing out the first pitch, he popped the leather at Chipper Jones pretty well, huh?
Yeah, he throws okay. We're working on it. We'll get him going. We'll try to get his changeup going a little bit.
Bases clear for Nate McLeod with a 1 ball, 2 strike count. And the inning is over. Pelfrey has an easy frame. Greg, you can stick around for another half inning. We got a lot of things to talk to you about. All right, 3-0 your score. Back to Atlanta on a very special night here at Turner Field.
Live solid, bank solid. And our solid performers subject today is best season ERA since 1920. And Greg is on there twice, 94 and 95, back-to-back unbelievable seasons of ERAs under 1.63. Had it working then, didn't you, buddy?
Yeah, those were good years.
You had a great interview in Chop Talk magazine that was online, I guess, a day or two ago. And you mentioned to Joe when you sat down up here, wow, you get a great view of the ballpark, the game itself. It looks awfully easy up here. As broadcasters, I think we sometimes overanalyze the art of pitching. For you, what is the art of pitching? How do you encapsulate that?
It changes every inning. I think probably the easiest way to pitch is you realize what the guy's going to hit and do what you can not to throw that. I think that's probably the easiest way. So if there's one pitch you know the guy can hit, you probably got 2 or 3 other ones that you can throw instead, and just try to keep it simple that way.
1 ball, 1 strike to Omir Santos, the Mets catcher. Is stuff more important or is command more important for you?
Well, I think stuff, to be honest with you. I think if you have late life on your ball, you're allowed to get away with mistakes, and then command's not as important. But, you know, I noticed later on in my career when my stuff kind of flattened out a little bit that command was more important than stuff. So I think it goes both ways. I think you just have to work off your strengths and try to keep it in front of the outfielders.
I had a great time today at the banquet, especially when we were talking to some of your teammates, and I asked Eddie Perez, who was quote-unquote your personal catcher when you were here, and Eddie was here at the same time, and I asked Eddie if it was catching you was more mental or physical, and he said mental, because I had to teach Greg so much.
Yeah,
I thought that was a great line.
I mean, that's Eddie. Eddie was always had fun behind the plate, and I think that's important. I think sometimes you get too worried about giving up runs, your ERA, if you're going to win or lose, that you forget to have fun. And Eddie did help keep the game fun.
When you're a 20-year-old kid, did you ever imagine that this was going to happen to you when you got to the big leagues with the Cubs?
No, when you're 20 years old, you just hope you don't get sent back down to AAA. I think that's what every first-year player goes through. And I know I went through it, and then hopefully you settle in and you realize that you belong, and you start to do what you can to become the best pitcher you can be.
Did you have an aha moment when it dawned on you? I can win here.
I'm still waiting for it, really.
Oh, come on.
You never really feel that way, but there are certain times when, you know, there's certain pitches that you throw that maybe you were struggling with, and finally you do it. You know, like that pitch right there that he just threw. That pitch right there can last a long time. I know it was to the pitcher, but that pitch will work on Sheffield if he hits later on too. So, you know, when you throw a pitch perfect and locate it right, sometimes that could last, hopefully, a week, maybe a month.
In the interview we did today for the Braves Hall of Fame and Archives, I asked you, one of the last questions was, who was the toughest hitter you ever faced? And the fans might be a little surprised to hear who that was.
Well, it was Mickey Morandini. I mean, hey, good hitter. Guy could rake.
Still cracks me up.
You know, hey. Some guys just, I guess, see things a little bit better than other guys when it comes out of your hand. He was that guy for me.
Wasn't Bonds, wasn't Bagwell, wasn't Pujols, it was Mickey Morandini.
Well, those guys are easy because when you're facing those guys, if it matters, you just walk them. I mean, it's easy to throw 4 balls up and away. That's the easiest pitch to throw.
1 ball, 1 strike to Angel Pagan, the Mets center fielder, who bounced to first with Casey Kochman making a terrific play to start things off defensively for the Braves. And that's a little low ball too.
One of the things that Jair's been working on, and quite successfully at times too, he's been able to get his 2-seamer to run back over the inside corner to lefties, something you were known for. Was that something you developed as your career went on?
Well, I think everybody has a 2-seam fastball, but it's usually away to lefties and into righties. And I think you have to learn how to throw it to the first base side of the plate a little bit differently than you do, say, to the third base side of the plate, assuming you're a right-handed pitcher. And, you know, it's just really all about alignment. If you can align yourself correctly, then you could get that same amount of movement on both sides of the plate.
Look at that play. Joe said he pitches an awful lot like Greg Maddox. He can field like Greg Maddox, too.
Very nice.
Congratulations, partner. Welcome back to Atlanta and all the best. Number 31, retired forever in Atlanta, and our thanks to Greg Maddox for joining us tonight on 3-0. Jair Jurgen's in command. And fans, it's time for our AirTran Airways home run inning. As Joe would say, cue the plane. One lucky fan will have a chance to win free airfare for two if the Braves hit a homer this inning. Visit PeachtreeTV.com/Braves for the official rules and enter for your chance to win at AirTran Airways. Go, there's nothing stopping you.
That looked like the 8:30 AirTran to Philly.
Philly? All right. Martin Prado, 2, 3, and 4 coming up for the Braves. So good chance in our AirTran Airways home run game tonight. Boy, Jurgens looks good on the mound. Braves slick a field, and Pelfrey's first inning troubles have come back to bite him on the backside again tonight. That's fouled back to the screen at 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Good eye by Martin, which is not unusual. What is unusual is these New York Mets starters. Their ERA, if it continues, will be their highest since their inaugural season in 1962.
That wasn't a very good year.
That was a horrible year.
Yeah.
They lost 120 games. What's even more remarkable is that their problem last year, there's Dan Warthen, their pitching coach, was the bullpen, and they addressed those issues. I never expected their starters to struggle like this.
Yeah, Pedro obviously is gone. Oliver Perez has been an enigma again and has been injured again. John Mayne's shoulder has a problem in the back. That's not good news. And I think Yohan Santana's been human this year, for lack of a better way of putting it.
He'll pitch tomorrow. He's 10-7.
That's chopped foul. Another good at bat from Prado.
And that swing right there is, I think, reflective of the improvement in Martin Prado this year over 2 years ago. It's been kind of a steady progression, but that used to break his bat, or was a called strike 3 because he wouldn't swing in it. Now he can turn on that ball and still fight off everything to right field if he has to.
When Bobby Cox anointed Martin Prado his starting second baseman, and maybe anoint is not the right way to put it, when Martin earned the right to be Bobby Cox's second baseman might be the best way to put it. We talked to him before that game, and you talk about a guy who was so humbled, so proud, and so appreciative of the faith that the Braves and Bobby Cox showed in him. It was so wonderfully refreshing, and he hasn't stopped hitting since. Stroked deep left center field. That's got a chance. That one's gone. Another great Braves at bat. As Martin Prado follows the script, it's 4-0 in the third.
This was no cheapie, folks. Fastball, inner third, deep part of the park, deep left center. Yeah, it bounced on top of the fence, but that's close to 400 feet. And it was a low line drive on top of that. His 5th homer. Stayed back, good bat speed. Who's hotter than Martin Prado right now?
And you hit a home run against this guy, you are swinging the bat unbelievably well.
First home run to a right-handed hitter this season given up by Mike Pelfrey.
And he's pitched over 100 innings.
Yeah, the 6 he had allowed before were all the lefties.
So to finish up the point on Prado, here's a guy who has waited patiently for his opportunity, and now that he has that opportunity, he is not wasting his chance. 1 ball, 2 strikes to Chipper Jones. It's a great story.
Fun to watch. I mean, his improvement has been so tremendous.
And Pelfrey keeps throwing to that same spot. The Braves hitters just back away from it. He is all the way up to 58 pitches tonight. Two balls, 2 strikes. to Chipper Jones.
And before you forget about it, with respect to Martin Prado, in 2007, he was in the top 5 in hitting in Richmond at 316. He got called up, and in 59 at-bats hit 288. But last year, 228 at-bats, he hit 320 for the Braves last year. Not as much power, but he did have 18 doubles, 2 homers. And he's just tearing it up right now.
And let's not forget, Prado's a middle infielder by trade. He can play some third base, can play the outfield. As Chipper lines a shot past David Wright into left field. But after the Braves traded Mark Teixeira to the Angels, and while Casey Kochman was dealing with his mother's very serious illness, Martin Prado was playing out of position at first base and played it exceptionally well for Atlanta.
I had a scout tell me in Colorado that he thought Martin Prado was the best quote-unquote utility player in the National League. I said, I don't think you can call him a utility player anymore. Yes, he can play first and has played first a lot, and second and third, but right now he's the Braves' second baseman.
Yeah, that's a good point. And to say that he's better than a guy like Omar Infante, who's beginning his road back, that's pretty high praise. So Braves punishing Pelfrey. The Mets bullpen will perhaps start working in this third inning. The Mets are in desperate straits. In fact, one of the New York newspapers is already publishing the tragic number, which is the number of games left till the Mets are eliminated. It's July 17th. Can you believe that?
No rest for the weary when it comes to the New York press.
And in case you wondered, the number was 68. As Chipper Jones, with 1 stolen base on the year, has Pelfrey distracted here in this third inning. Brian McCann started the fun for the Braves with a laser beam off the scoreboard and right. They might have to check the LED scoreboard for a big dent.
Smoked, wasn't it?
High fly ball, belted right field. Frenchie back, leaping try, and he can't get it.
Speaking of guys who are something else, 4-time All-Stars, not too shabby either. That looked a little bit like a changeup. Look at that extension. He got a little air under this one, Chip, and his buddy tried to take it away from him. And boy, did he come close. What an effort by Francoeur. He would have been talking about that all winter, too, if he'd been able to catch it. 4 RBIs already for McCann tonight.
And it is just like old times, as Greg Maddox said before the game. The chant and the chop underway at Turner Field, and the Braves crushing the Mets 6-0. Brian McCann, his 9th home run. Braves still the only team in baseball without a man to hit 10 for them this year. McCann may get that taken care of before this night's done.
That's still something, though, isn't it?
Yeah. And so Pelfrey, who's had an awful time tonight, knows that the Mets bullpen and Tim Redding getting busy. Redding's been a starter for them, but now out of the bullpen is their long man. He may not be long for the warm-up. Pop-up, shallow left. Cora out. Nice play.
Brian McCann's career RBI high is 5. He's done it 3 times. And he's got 4 in 2 at-bats tonight.
Here's Yunel Escobar. A 4-game hit streak for the Braves shortstop, including an RBI single his first time up. Braves a chance to perhaps gain some ground on the Marlins tonight. Phillies lead them 4-1 in a rain delay in the 6th. That's an official game. Phillies red hot all of a sudden. They've won, what, 10 of 11? And it's Cole Hamels on the mound tonight after Jamie Moyer fired a one-hitter in Florida last night.
Mets run differential the first 3 innings last year set a modern major league record. They were plus 155. Keep in mind that was Reyes, that was Castillo, Beltran, Delgado. This year a -9 in the first 3 innings. That's unbelievable in the difference in what the Mets normally do to you, which is jump on you early.
Yeah, and let's remember too, the Mets before Billy Wagner got hurt had a pretty effective bullpen. Yes, it's a bullpen that coughed up the lead for the 2nd straight year in September. But just like the Braves right now, you get an early lead with this staff and this bullpen, you feel like you have a very good chance to win the game. The Mets did until September last year. Ground ball to second, corralled by Castillo, 2 out. Jerry Manuel had a great line in the New York papers today talking about where the Mets are. If you start finding yourself 7, 7.5, 8 games back, that's really a danger Will Robinson kind of scenario. He said you can play very well for 2 series. You can get your rotation 1 time through to pitch 5, 6 good ball games in a row for you. But once you're 7 back, that means you really have to click for 3 series to make up ground. With parity such as it is in baseball, that's a very tall order.
I've always heard people say, managers, coaches, that if you're within 5 come September 1st, you got a shot. But even that is a long road.
It is a long road indeed. But Brian McCann and Martin Prado make a couple of winners happy in the Airtran Airways home run inning. Melanie from Charleston, South Carolina is our sweepstakes winner tonight. Prado goes deep. McCann 4 RBIs, including his 9th home run, and everybody happy at Turner Field. And Airtran Airways, go, there's nothing stopping you.
Toyota Tacoma trivia question. Cue the truck. And of course a Greg Maddox type question tonight. What was unusual about the major league debut of Greg Maddox? Was it a complete game? Was it a shutout?
Did he pitch left-handed? I mean, that would be
really. Did he get knocked out early?
Yeah. And all those things would be very unusual.
Did he cry? Probably not.
Luis did he cry. Luis Castillo looks at a ball high. 1 ball, no strikes. I got a question for you. Would Greg Maddox be drafted today?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
With the emphasis on the radar gun and
yes.
But he threw harder in the old days.
But he got drafted in the second round as it was. I mean, he wasn't a #1 pick, but still a high draft choice by any standard if you go in the second round.
1-1 strike. Well, a Cubs scout by the name of Doug Mapson is the man that followed Maddox. In fact, Greg's dad, after Mike Maddox was drafted, said, well, you'll be back sooner or later for the little one too. Speaking of Greg. But Doug Mapson said, I believe this boy would be the #1 player in the country if he only looked more physical. So my point is, when you look at a guy's body type and try to project him and see where he's going to be, I don't think anybody, including the Cubs, figured that Maddox would win 350 odd games and end up having his number retired by 2 different clubs and earn a ticket to Cooperstown. And so that's, I guess, the inexact nature of scouting itself.
The reason I say that is there are guys like Tim Lincecum who are still #1 draft picks. Granted, he went to college, but being able to project Tim Lincecum as a Cy Young Award winner in his second year, you know, that was hard to look at too when you look at his body type.
Well, he's 5'9", 5'10",
something like that.
But he throws harder than Greg, I guess is my point. In other words, does the game emphasize the radar gun more than it emphasizes a guy's ability to throw strikes consistently and get outs?
Well, that's going to catch their attention first, is how hard does this guy throw? And then they start looking at the other stuff.
That's lined by David Wright into the left field corner for an extra base hit. David Wright will pull in with his 25th double of the season and only the 2nd New York hit of the game.
Like a hanging slider out over the plate. Looking at the draft choices that year for Greg Maddox, Hal Galima just told me something quite ironic. He was the 31st choice in the draft.
How about that? I want to know who the 30 guys picked ahead of him were. We've joked all the time about Albert Pujols. How did he end up being a 14th round pick?
Yeah.
The Angels took Alfredo Amezaga 1 spot ahead of the Cardinals getting Albert Pujols. So what was unusual about Greg Maddox's major league debut with the Cubs? If we want to give you a hint, we mentioned a pitcher in this last inning or so who pitched with Greg that year with the Cubs and was on the mound that day with Chicago. 1-1 strike to Gary Sheffield. I mean, you know you've had a great career. They retire your number twice. Cubs did it earlier this year. The Braves did it tonight. And before long, we'll have Tom Glavine's number up there. We'll have John Smoltz's number up there. We'll have Chipper Jones' number up there. Bobby Cox will be going up there.
One would think.
Look at that ball. Funny spin. Escobar off balance, made a fine play.
Have you noticed how the second baseman for the Braves do a good job of staying out of Yunel's way when he's going up the middle? I mean, most second basemen are trying to make great plays too to make sure the ball doesn't get through, but there's so much trust in Yunel. Prado more or less cut it short, went to the bag and stayed out of Yunel's throwing alley, if you will, his throwing lane. Good play.
Well, they also saw Yunel Escobar and Ryan Church's collision last year.
That's true.
On that hard slide into second base by Church, where he hit his head on the infield dirt, concussion, and struggled mightily with that last year. I asked Ryan before the game tonight, did your knee apologize to Yunel's forehead?
What'd he say?
He said, yeah, we're fine. No balls and a strike to Jeff Francoeur, who popped out.
Well, I've got the draft list here. 84 in the first round. The guy taken right in front of Greg Maddox was taken by the Mariners out of Jacksonville University, Mike Christ. And right before him was Lorenzo Cisney.
Legends.
That was by the Mets. First player taken in the draft that year, Sean Abner. Billy Swift was second. Drew Hall, Corey Snyder, and Pat Pasillo rounded out the top 5. But let me show you something else. In the second round, Maddox was the 31st pick.
Right.
Guess who was number 47?
Wow, really? How cool is that? Tom Glavine. That's a little scary, isn't it? So Maddox selected 31st overall. Glavine selected 47th.
Very interesting.
Overall. Pete Smith went in that draft too. He was the 21st pick overall by the Phillies in the first round. Mark McGuire went 10th that year to the A's out of USC. John Marzano 14th. Terry Mulholland 24th by the Giants. Norm Charlton 28th by the Expos. Drew Denson was the number 19 pick by the Braves out of Purcell Marion High School in Cincinnati that year. Other notables in that draft, at least in the top 60 guys: Al Leiter, Marvin Freeman, who later pitched for the Braves. John Farrell, now the Red Sox pitching coach, was picked right behind Greg Maddox.
Good stop.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Jeff's taking some big swings tonight. And he did last night too, really trying to do some damage. You might be able to get him on a changeup here. Looks like they're setting up a way. Missed with the fastball. Try to make his aggressiveness work against him. But that fastball a little low, didn't come back enough. Working him away again.
Tapper hit to short. Escobar loads up. And the inning is over. David Wright doubles and is left stranded at third. Jurgens firing a shutout with a very big lead in the 4th.
Debut in the major leagues. Give you the answer right after this pitch to Casey Kochman.
I can't believe you said, did he cry? Did he cry?
The answer is he cried. No, he went into the game as a pinch runner. Details to follow. Those details are that on a game that started September 2nd, 1986 at Wrigley, it was suspended by curfew.
Darkness. They didn't have lights.
Oh, curfew. I didn't think of the darkness.
Yeah, no lights.
And here are some other features about that. That game, you mentioned Jamie Moyer. That was the hint. He started for the Cubs that day against Houston, and Nolan Ryan, who started for the Astros. Greg went in and pinch ran for Jody Davis in the 17th inning. Pinch ran for him. Stayed in the game, pitched the 18th, and gave up a home run to Billy Hatcher and took the loss. 8-7 Astros in 18 innings. Took 2 days to play it.
How about that?
But a guy who's going to the Hall of Fame with 355 wins.
Began his big league career as a pinch runner. But
that's awesome.
Following that up, you know what Maddox did in his first big league start? Complete game win.
Was it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So that too set the tone for Maddox's career. Ground ball hit towards second off the bat of Casey Kochman. Pelfrey still on there and laboring. 3 runs allowed in the first, 3 runs allowed in the third. Kochman is 0-for-2 in tonight's game.
Well, no complaints tonight from Jair Jurgens on run support with those early outbursts.
And that got turned around pretty quickly for him 2 starts ago. Remember, the Braves in the entire month of June scored a grand total of 5 runs for Jurgens while he was in the game. 2 starts ago, the Braves played at 11 men and had a 6-run inning, which is 1 more run than they scored in an entire month's worth of starts. And so tonight it certainly has been another productive offensive night. Braves baseball on Peachtree TV in HD is brought to you by the Georgia Aquarium. There's always something new at the world's largest aquarium. Visit georgiaaquarium.org.
I got a little something for you from Hal Galima Enterprises. A little something he worked up. I'm going to give you a little trivia question. Maddox's last 512 starts. How many men did he walk in his last 512 starts?
Well, let's see. There are only a handful of guys that have 3,000 or more strikeouts and fewer than 1,000 walks. Greg Maddox is one of those guys.
That's correct.
512 starts. It's a ridiculously low number, so I'll say 260.
Exact same number as starts, 512. An average of 1 per start.
As our old buddy in Seattle would say, good or bad?
I would say that was good.
That's real good.
That's good stuff, Al.
Ground ball hit towards second. Another easy play for Castillo. I was really surprised by Maddox's answer to my question of stuff or command. We'll explore that a little more when we come right back.
How about Mickey Morandini?
Yeah.
Atlanta-based Jamieson Inns ranked #1 in guest service nationwide for 5 straight years. Check into Jamieson Inns and experience our new pillow top premium beds and the best in Southern hospitality. Jamieson Inns, you deserve a new deal.
Red skies at night indeed in Atlanta. There's your score, 6-0. The Braves all over the New York Mets. Bravos played at 3 in the first and 3 in the third inning tonight. Brian McCann's had a huge night. He's knocked in 4 men, 1 shy of a career high tying 5 for the Atlanta catcher. So the Braves trying to gain some ground on the Mets, maybe gain some ground on the Marlins. We'll do a quick peek at the National League scoreboard for you with the Cubs in front of the Nationals in the bottom of the 7th inning. Aramis Ramirez has gone deep for the Cubbies. Reds 3-0 over the Brewers. That's through 6 innings in Cincinnati. Still raining in Florida, where the Phillies lead the Marlins 4-1. Pirates 1-0 over Tim Lincecum and the Giants tonight. Diamondbacks Cardinals no score in the 4th. Later on, Rockies visit the Padres and the Astros take on the Los Angeles Dodgers. Danny Murphy walked his first time up and takes a quick strike. Murphy's been productive last 6 games, 7 hits, 4 runs, and 4 doubles. And that one ticketed towards left. Easy play. Anderson to his right. And Murphy is retired in the 5th inning. We were talking with Greg Maddox, Joe, about what's more important as a major league pitcher, stuff or command. And I was really surprised when Greg said stuff, because I think it's safe to say for the bulk of his career he didn't have what you would call overwhelming stuff as far as velocity was concerned, but always had pinpoint command.
Always. But I think his point was well made about if you got good stuff, you don't have to have great command.
But what if you walk everybody?
And maybe he's not really saying that about himself.
But I mean, who am I to disagree with Greg Maddox? But I'm confused because Oliver Perez has great stuff for the Mets, but he can't throw enough strikes to use that stuff to his best advantage. So what my point is, if you throw 98, you can't throw strike 1 with 98. How do you win?
Well, let me answer that this way. If I had Greg Maddox's control,
yes,
I don't think it really would matter what I threw.
Oh, I agree.
Yeah, because I believe whether he thinks his stuff was good or not, it naturally was.
Yes.
But he had a good combination of that. Not overpowering, as you pointed out, but his location was spot on, day in, day out.
So is this?
So that did surprise me.
So is this really baseball's chicken and the egg?
A little bit.
Question. Does your command make your stuff better? In other words, if you throw a 86-mile-an-hour fastball on the black every pitch and get outs with that, does that make your 85-mile-an-hour fastball look better than it is?
Yes. No question.
As a hitter.
Yes. But understand too that
another chance at short for Escobar. The Braves infield's been busy and has been good.
Understand too that as we're watching Greg here, that his changeup was so good. That backup fastball right there was so awesome. Hitters gave up on it constantly, and he just kept hitting that spot over and over. Look at Eddie Perez, never has to move his glove. Derek Jeter, take a hike. It just happened over and over and over again. I asked him about that today during that interview, and he said, he was talking about release point too. He said if you have the same release point every time, you shouldn't have that many arm problems, because he was fortunate enough not to ever have to have any surgery. Not that he wasn't ever hurt or sore, but he said that had to do with a constant release point. So that lends itself to control, to command. And I think, let's back up to something else he said, okay? Here with 2 outs and we got to hurry.
It's okay. You played for the Dodgers. The Vin Scully rule applies to you.
And that was setting up hitters and trying to throw a pitch that they're not looking for. He was so smart. But that doesn't do you any good if you don't throw it for a strike. and at least put it close enough where the hitter's going to swing at it. And that goes to command. Eddie Perez talked about a game against Houston. Told a story today that was remarkable. Probably won't finish it this half inning.
Santos, a shot to right, and a nice diving catch by Ryan Church.
But the story's so remarkable, you'll want to stick around.
That's what we in the TV business call a tease. So,
oh, it is?
Yes. So you don't want to miss a thing. Ryan Church, the layout and the Sukahara. The Russian judge gives him a 7.9 as the Braves lead at 6-0 here in the 5th.
Ticket for the Braves versus the Giants when you recycle. Bring a plastic bottle, a newspaper, or 10 plastic grocery bags to Monument Grove at Turner Field. Braves will recycle it and give you a Braves game ticket for only $3. Local green companies and organizations will be on hand with information to help fans go green. Remember, plastic bottle, newspaper, or 10 plastic grocery bags. Monument Grove, Turner Field. You get a ticket for $3. Nice.
And the Giants are in town. Club that's competing not only for a wild card spot, but maybe a division title. The Dodgers have a 6.5 game lead over San Francisco, a club that has overwhelming starting pitching. So we'll see the Giants here next week.
Tim Lincecum pitches tonight. That almost certainly guarantees he will pitch in that series, and it is a 4-game series.
Yeah, most likely on Wednesday.
Yep.
A Wednesday night affair as Prado pops the ball out of play. Foul, and we will have the Wednesday game of that Giants series for you here on Peachtree TV, as well as game 2 of that series on Tuesday night. But back to your story about Greg Maddox and his uncanny ability to set up major league hitters. As Prado's down on strikes, you can set up a hitter one pitch to the next, one at bat to the next, one game to the next. But the story you had about Maddox and Jeff Bagwell just boggles the mind.
Yeah, it came from Eddie Perez, who said that he was catching Greg one night. It turns out, and Eddie didn't talk about this today, but Greg had a no-hitter into the 8th inning. And Bagwell was up, and Greg had told Eddie before the game started, nothing inside tonight to Bagwell, nothing. Stay away from him. So they go to the 8th inning, and Greg shook off the location. He wanted to go inside. So Eddie moved the target inside, just like that one to Chipper.
Which is ticketed for the gap. Chipper flying out of the box, stands at second with a 1-out double. He's 2 for 2 with a walk and has scored 2 times.
And as Eddie moved inside on Bagwell, he hit one about 9 miles, broke up the no-hitter, broke up the shutout. And Eddie, after the game, said, Braves won easily, 8-1. He said, why did you want to come in on Bagwell? I thought you wanted to stay away. And he said, that's a setup for the playoffs if we see him in the playoffs. So go to the playoffs. They play Houston. Situation comes up. Bagwell's up. Bases loaded. 2 outs. Maddox strikes him out. When he knew that Bagwell was looking for that one pitch inside.
And as you heard Greg say, you find out what a hitter wants to hit. You don't throw the pitch there.
Well, as they're walking off the field when that inning was over, Greg said, "Remember that pitch 2 months ago?" I mean, that's the way he worked.
I really like what Don Sutton, who is tonight's MC for the jersey retirement ceremony, said. Don was obviously no slouch as a pitcher, over 320 big league wins and a Hall of Fame resume as well. Toward the end of his career, maybe for most of his career, Don pitched somewhat similarly to Greg Maddox without overwhelming stuff, but was a great craftsman on the mound.
Smart, yeah.
And he said Greg Maddox was the greatest pitching artist he had ever seen. That's high praise.
Sure is.
So all in all, just a wonderful night.
Yeah, a wonderful day. It's been tremendous, and hopefully capped off by a Braves win here.
Brian McCann has had a wonderful night too. 4 RBIs and a bloop shot, shallow left. Cora out, can't get it. Ball drops and everybody's safe.
A beautiful Ric Flair to left. Just out of the reach of Cora. Sheffield had a long way to go. Chipper had thoughts of trying to score. If Sheffield doesn't pick that up cleanly, I think Chipper keeps going. But a good night for Brian McCann, who was only hitting .255 this month.
And as our producer Glenn Diamond points out, Brian's just a triple away from the cycle tonight.
You never know.
Garrett Anderson in the batter's box. As Ric Flair used to say, in Garrett's case here in this inning, he can't be first, but all the Braves can be next.
Yes. See Brian score from first last night. That double.
Oh yeah.
How about that?
The flying feet.
Yeah.
I thought Schneider's comment, the Mets catcher, he said you don't often see a catcher make that kind of slide. I mean, he got the hand in beautifully last night.
A 3-point landing.
That's ticketed for the corner. Boy, the Braves are just beating Pelfrey to death tonight. This is a bludgeoning, 7-0.
Got his head down at home plate. He can't believe it.
RBI double for Garrett Anderson.
That's going to end his night. This fastball had a lot of the plate, came back over the inside half. And Garrett has his first hit of the night after a 3-hit night last night. Jerry Manuel's going to make a double switch. Mike Pelfrey might be wondering, where have you been?
Yeah. 2 strikeouts, a walk, 9 hits, 7 runs across so far. And runners at second and third, the responsibility of Mets starter Mike Pelfrey. Mets are in the bullpen, and this call to it brought to you by AT&T, your world delivered.
movie giveaway right here on Peachtree TV. You've got an opportunity to win an Xbox Pro or the grand prize, a Sony home theater system. Now, here's how you win. Just watch the movie Hitch next Friday, Saturday, or Sunday and look for the keyword of the day. Text the keyword to 89332 for your chance to win. It's the great movie giveaway next weekend right here on Peachtree TV. You could win.
Well, the Braves have scored 7, and we're only in the bottom of the 5th inning tonight on Peachtree TV. Hope you're enjoying this one in high definition tonight as the Mets bring their second Angel into the game. Angel Baroa now in to play shortstop. He'll bat 9th. That spot comes up first when we get to the 6th inning. And Tim Redding, who has been an emergency starter for the Mets this year, on for the 12th time with a lofty 7-point ERA.
Certainly not what the Mets expected when they got him this year. He pitched pretty well. Very respectable baseball last year for Washington and pitched a couple of good games against Atlanta.
Second and third for Escobar with only one man out. Line drive left center field on the first pitch. That gets down. 1 run scores. Anderson gets the green light as the ball dropped in left center field. And Gary Sheffield might have hurt himself.
It looked like he was trying to flip the ball out of his glove to Pagan, Chip. And maybe he did something to that sore knee while he was grabbing his hamstring. But it looked like he was just trying to flip the ball to Pagan after Escobar laced a hanging slider. Right, see right there, but the ball got hung up in his glove. He can't stop, so he's like just trying to give Pagan the ball, and Angel overran it.
And you know the Mets are saying, what else can happen?
Again, I go back to their defense. Gary Sheffield was supposed to be a 4th outfielder, play a little bit, but not all the time. And the range of their outfielder with Beltran out is very, very limited. Jeff Francoeur adds a wealth of talent to what was a very poor defensive outfield.
Jeremy Reed's going to come on and play left field. They also had Fernando Martinez, their young phenom. He went down with a knee problem. The Mets were hopeful he was going to be able to come back. They had to perform knee surgery on him. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. And when you see the cart coming out and you see the trainer looking at the knee and the hamstring of Gary Sheffield, that is horrible news for this absolutely injury-ravaged New York ball club. Beltran out, Delgado out, Reyes out. Gary Sheffield has almost single-handedly kept this club afloat. Now he goes out, and you've got to wonder what recourse the New York Mets are going to have as they try to patch together a 25-man roster, not even to mention one that can compete for a playoff spot.
I don't know if you saw it just about 3 steps ago. He had to stop because it grabbed again. Obviously too proud to hop on the cart and right in. He wanted to walk in on his own, but that's going to be a slow pace.
Well, we said earlier tonight, you cannot say anything but the best for Gary Sheffield. There were so many questions around baseball, as if to say, why are the Mets taking a flyer on Gary Sheffield? The Tigers let him go, paid off that gigantic contract that was due him. Sheffield, with a history of shoulder problems, really wasn't productive in last season with Jim Leyland and the Detroit club. And Jim Leyland, in the final year of his deal in Detroit, was given the opportunity to take what he thought were the best 25 guys north with the Tigers out of Lakeland, Florida, out of spring training, and Sheffield was not one of those players. The Mets pick him up, and Gary Sheffield, 10 homers, 36 RBIs, 9 doubles, batting average in the mid 280s, cracked his 500th home run this year, has been a remarkably good pickup for them. But his 2008 season comes to a grinding interruption tonight here at Turner Field.
Given his knee issues in recent days, well, last part of his career, you have to wonder if that might be involved somehow in that hamstring injury.
He gave the Mets everything he had. And as soon as we get an update from the Mets, we'll let you know exactly what's ailing Gary Sheffield. But it took him a long while to make his way to the dugout. Here's Ryan Church. Closed the book on Pelfrey, by the way. 9 runs on 9 hits and 4 in the 3rd innings. So the outfield for the Mets, Reed, Pagan, and Francoeur from left to right. And the count to Church now even at a ball and a strike.
Tim Redding last year, there's Reed. Redding made 33 starts for the Nationals, and for a really bad ball club, he was 10-11. Had a high ERA, but won 10 ball games for the Nats. And was a free agent. The Mets signed him as a free agent in January. I really thought he was a good pickup. I thought it helped give them some depth. He opened the season on the DL, but I thought he'd be a perfect guy to be kind of a swing guy, a long man and part-time starter. But his numbers haven't really followed up last season's good fortune.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Ryan Church. And in the case of Jerry Manuel, who you saw at the top step of that New York dugout, anything that can go wrong is going wrong for his club. It started with Pelfrey, who did not have a good night. Sheffield's been hurt. And the Braves in big time command in this game, up 9-0. And the first 2 Mets games back since the All-Star break. That's hit past Baroa at short. Escobar had to make sure the ball wasn't hit in front of him, so he held up, and they're at the corners. Redding has thrown about 5 pitches and has given up 2 bullets.
Fought this one off. Ryan Church did, and looking at his numbers today, I was surprised to find that he actually had more hits to left field than he does to right or center. And it's about a difference of 5, now a difference of 6.
Here's Kochman. Casey's 0 for 2 in the game. And Redding paints the outside corner. Phillies and Marlins are still in a rain delay down in Miami at Land Shark Stadium. 4-1 Phillies lead in the 6th. Chase Utley is homered, as has Chris Coghlan for the Marlins ball club. Albert Pujols has hit his 33rd home run for St. Louis. They lead behind Chris Carpenter 1-0 over Arizona tonight.
Pujols, pretty good player.
Yeah. Might be the Triple Crown winner if he can get that batting average up a little bit.
Be the first one in the National League since Ducky Medwick with the Cardinals, I think at 37.
That was around the time they had a team in St. Louis called the Gas House Gang. Leo DeRocher was on that club, Pepper Martin. And the National League Central. How about the Houston Astros? They're 3 back and have historically, partner, been a great second half team, at least the last 2 years.
Yeah, up over 500.
Base hit on a pitch way away from Kochman. Escobar scores to make it a 10-0 score. Nine-game hitting streak.
Yeah, career high. A beauty too. Check out the location of this pitch. Try to backdoor slider, and he goes out around it. One hands it right in the hole. And for Casey, his 32nd RBI.
6 straight hits after Martin Prado took a called 3rd strike to start this frame. Jair Jurgens is saying, well, this is great, but I would have taken 4 or 5 of these in the month of June.
Yeah.
Kid, come on.
I remember a guy that you know too that used to say, "Save some for tomorrow, boys."
1 ball, 1 strike. That's rifled back and out of play. Tomorrow's pitching matchup will be
Yohan Santana and Kenshin Kawakami. That'll be a 4:10 start, but you know that's a lie because it's on Fox Television. It'll be 4:13.
swing and a miss by Jurgens. 2 down.
Oh, you're so right.
Why don't they just tell you it's 4:13? I don't understand.
Lying to the fans. Yeah.
God, I miss him. Javier Vasquez and Fernando Nieve, by the way, on Sunday night. That'll be an ESPN game. Those of you holding tickets for that Sunday game, take note of the start time. That's a 6:05 first pitch.
Really, it's 6:08.
But we've digressed.
Yes. We've covered that.
Yeah, I think they have the ESPYs or whatever those are later on. So instead of their usual 8 o'clock start, it's a 6 o'clock start. And I think the Dodger game on August 3rd, August 2nd. That's an August 2nd. That game has been picked up by ESPN. That'll be a Sunday night telecast.
That'll be at 8:09.
Well,
or whenever John Miller says we can start.
But the Braves will
the
be on.
bad thing about that,
Yeah,
is that is getaway day, now night,
yeah,
to the West Coast.
yes. Well, you gained 3 hours, so stop
Yeah,
complaining.
right. Braves will play San Diego in San Diego the next night.
Pulled foul past first by Nate McLeod.
Nate would like to join the hit parade. The numbers 2 through 6 hitters been doing a lot of damage tonight. He'd like it to be 1 through 6.
By the way, I think I set a record tonight for mentioning the most other broadcasts besides Peachtree in one telecast. We got Fox in, we got ESPN, and we got SNY in. Anybody else we missed?
Well, you got Fox Sports South on.
Yeah, see, that's, yeah, got those guys.
Actually, they're because ESPN will preempt that game. It'll be Sports South coming up on Thursday.
Yeah, I forgot WGN and the Cubbies with Greg Maddox night tonight, so excusez-moi. Nate McLeod down on strikes. 6 straight hits for the Braves in the 5th inning. 4 of them come across. Chipper Jones double. Brian McCann single. Garrett Anderson double. Gary Sheffield got hurt. Escobar doubled home 2. Church a single. Kochman an RBI hit. And the Braves are walloping New York.
ways. Go, there's nothing stopping you. There you have all of the logos for all of the different broadcasts. Big Fox tomorrow, then ESPN, then Sports South on Monday. Sports South, John Shambi and I will have the Monday and Thursday games with the Giants. Chip and I will have the games in between on Tuesday and Wednesday. And you see the start times. Make your plans to be with us. That Giants series will be fun to watch.
Yeah, that's a very good ball club that started very slowly. I think they were 11-18 at one point this year, and then really got their pitching going, and maybe one of the most exciting young players in baseball that not many people outside of the Bay Area knows much about. And a man that has maybe the best nickname in baseball, the Kung Fu Panda, Pablo Sandoval, is coming to town.
Gosh, and people keep asking me about where have all the nicknames gone. You know, you don't hear about too many nicknames for players, and that is a beauty.
Kung Fu Panda. So we'll look forward to seeing the Giants. And that pitching staff, which has Kane, it's got Lincecum, it's got Jonathan Sanchez, who threw that improbable no-hitter. Little tapper off the bat of Angel Baroa. Chipper Jones off stride. Kutchman saved an out. What a play.
What a play indeed. Baroa just got called up, former Rookie of the Year while with Kansas City, gets robbed of a hit in his first at bat as a Met thanks to Kutchman. Chipper ranged wide to his left, but watch Casey. Sometimes you're better off when you got a short hop, and it's a long short hop, let's say, not to go out and try to smother it. See how Casey waited and let the ball come to him? You got a better chance of corralling that particular short hop if you play it a little closer to your body, and he did. Beautiful.
6 straight retired by Jurgens. Back to the top we go. So from one Angel to another. Baroa and now Pagan. Mets could use a little more divine intervention. They are having a devil of a time here in July. I couldn't help myself. 1 ball, no strikes. Oh. I know in your career you played on some good teams, some awful teams, and some teams that just had bad luck. I would imagine that third option has to be the worst.
Yes, because the expectations are so much higher. If you're a bad ball club, nobody really expects a whole lot from you. But when you have the talent that the Mets have, and you have injuries that have riddled key parts of your team, lead off, third, fourth in your lineup, and now Sheffield perhaps laid up for a while too. There's just nowhere to go to replace those type players.
Yeah, if you stink, you know you stink. If you're good, you're obviously going to have a lot of fun. But when whatever potential you have to be good is taken away, when key players go down and stay down, and that's the real frustrating thing for the Mets. They don't know when Reyes and Delgado and Beltran are coming back. There really isn't a time frame for 2 of those guys.
That's true, and that leads to, there was a time this year when Brian McCann was on the disabled list with his vision issues, and Chipper was laid up too. Wasn't on the DL, but he wasn't playing, and you kind of had an idea when those guys were going to come back. It wasn't an indefinite DL stint for either one of them. But even for that short period of time, Braves struggled. They have struggled at times all year when they've had key guys out of the lineup. Really disrupts your lineup.
Castillo, 1 ball, 1 strike. As Jurgens been very economical tonight, 78 pitches in the game. And a 2-1 count to the Mets second baseman, who's really turned his Mets career around. He was a disaster last season. Came to spring training vowing that last year was an aberration, got in shape, the knees feel better, the legs are working better again, and Castillo has played a very serviceable second base for New York and is hitting around 290 for them. But in the offseason, to your point again, the weakness the Mets had was their bullpen. They got J.J. Putz, they got Sean Green, they got K-Rod. Now they can't get the ball to those guys.
Right.
As Castillo takes a walk, that's the second of the game for Jurgens. And in the case of Putz, he's out with bone spur surgery, but
they're hoping to get him back though.
Yeah, but the best made plans of mice and men, as Elmer DeSenza was thinking of. And you know the New York media is all over Omar Minaya. Do something. Well, the Mets also have a problem. Who are they going to trade if they want to go get somebody?
Takes two to tango.
Yeah.
And it's hard to sometimes find a willing trade partner. A lot of teams in contention right now that is kind of narrowed down the teams that might be sellers. There are a lot of teams that think they're still in it and actually are.
So what's your, with the trade deadline, and it's sort of it is an artificial trade deadline because you can still make deals after July 31st, but we're 2 weeks away from today, the July 31st deadline. How many games back would you say you're out of it for a division title? 7?
Yeah, I'd say 7 or 8.
All right. Now you add the wild card in. So those teams, the Giants would be the wild card right now. Colorado's a game and a half behind them. Then a whole list of teams 3, 4, 5, 6 games back.
Well, I'm just looking at the National League right now. You got to figure Washington, Pittsburgh, Arizona, and San Diego will definitely be in the selling market, you would think.
Arizona too, perhaps.
Yeah, I mentioned them. I mean, Arizona and San Diego already 18 and 20 out. Washington 23 and a half out. Sober.
We'll
give
talk.
Give me an O.
Braves and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Atlanta Braves.
Well, Jerry Manuel's calling off the Dogs tonight. Bottom of the 6th inning, makes another change or two. Fernando Tatis gives David Wright the rest of this game off, and Elmer Descends, whom we showed warming in the bullpen, is on now for the 8th time for this New York club.
He had a stint with the Atlanta Braves earlier in his career, just a couple of years ago. And he's pitched pretty well from the Mets since they picked him up. Although 5 walks in 10 innings, he's got to throw a few more strikes.
So the man that started off the 5th inning leads off the 6th, Martin Prado. He's homered, he's doubled, he's scored twice, and has knocked in a run tonight. 10 runs on 12 Atlanta hits. So you think Arizona, San Diego, Pittsburgh, and Washington are out of it. Not going to compete for a playoff spot in the National League.
Yeah, and I threw Pittsburgh in there. They're literally, I mean, they're 9.5 out.
A high pop fly to shallow right. That should be caught by Castillo, and he makes the play. Interesting, too, the Pirates, who have 2 very attractive trade possibilities in Freddie Sanchez and Jack Wilson. Today, Joe came out and said, well, it might be easier to go ahead and re-sign those guys.
Yeah, the mixed signals over there kind of get in the way of whatever it is their plan is. if they're trying to collect some good young players, Sanchez, Wilson, and Adam LaRoche are three nice pieces, not to mention some pretty good arms they've got in the bullpen, too.
Now it's time to take a look at who's on deck for the Braves, brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz E-Class, located on the web at mbusa.com/E-Class. One ball, one strike. Chipper grounds towards short. That's handled by Baroa. And Chipper is out number 2. Brian McCann, the batter, looking for that ever elusive 3-bagger.
Coming up. Don't hit it to right, though, because his buddy will do everything in his power to keep that from happening.
Hot shot. Oh, nice play by Castillo. Get the married men off the infield. That ball was scalded as well.
Well, I'm going to get Joe Simpson and bring him back here, and he'll be here in just a minute.
Different beverages from around the world. Make plans to visit the world of Coca-Cola today.
Well, there's that new iconic Coke bottle. So far, the Braves are 2-0 with the new fan-friendly cola dispenser high above Turner Field in Atlanta.
Let's hope they're 2-0.
Yeah, they're going to win this game. It's 10-0, man. It's over. 12-2, the hit column, as we move along to the 7th inning of play tonight. And the night is done for Jair Jurgens for the Atlanta club. 6 innings for the Braves. He allowed just those 2 hits, no runs. And any inning you can save a pitcher like Jurgens now is one that you hope will be available in September.
No question about it. Good idea there. 2-hit shutout over 6 innings for him. Good work tonight. And Boone Logan, who pitched really well in Colorado his last time out, worked 2 1/3 innings of hitless ball, walked 2 and struck out 1. Got a couple of double plays in key spots on Sunday. He's going to earn some more time like this and later in the ball game because he's pitched so well.
And because the Braves' left-handed portion of their bullpen is banged up a little bit. Eric O'Flaherty's got a stiff back. Nothing, he said, as bad as it got for him in Seattle, which really derailed his year last year, but he's being very, very cautious with it, as he told me before the game. so that it does not turn into a major problem. And Mike Gonzalez. Anytime a guy that's had Tommy John surgery starts complaining about tendonitis in the elbow, that's got to be a big red flag, as Jeremy Reed is an easy out, one away.
I was just talking to Bob Brenly out in the hallway, and he said that that was the problem last year with O'Flaherty. So you're right. Don't want to see that happen again.
Wow, how did Bob get here so fast? I mean, his Cubs just won in Washington. Does he have a Star Trek teleporter to?
That's why they call him BB.
Here's Francoeur, Jeff 0 for 2. At 0 for 6 in his Atlanta homecoming so far. Certainly what's done is done. Church for Francoeur. You all were in Colorado. I was off when that trade was announced. Were you surprised at the timing of it?
Only that it kind of came out of nowhere. There had been some rumors, as Jeff said, there had been talk about it. You know, that's always a possibility. I think the fact that the trading partner on this instance was the Mets, and it hadn't happened between the Braves and the Mets since '96, I think it was, Greg McMichael for Paul Bird. That was a little surprising, just that it happened the way it did.
And I thought Bobby said it very, very well in the newspaper today. He said it's hard. This is not was not, I'm sure, an easy decision for Frank Wren of the Braves to make. Because yes, Jeff has had some tough times, but a lot of things did indeed go right for him in a Braves uniform. As this ball popped up into shallow right, Martin Prado's got that. The Braves want to win the game, but they also want Francoeur to do well.
Yeah, after he leaves town.
Yes.
Opening game of his career. Home run in his first game. That was a way to break in. And really, it's only been the last year and a half where he has run into any problems. 29 home runs in one season, 100 RBI seasons twice. Mets are banking on him regaining that form. And 5 years younger than Ryan Church.
And I think the thing that all of us in this business are guilty of, when you talk about the numbers that Jeff put up in his first 2 years as a Brave, he's 25 years old.
Yeah.
How many of you at home were at the peak of your professional life when you were 25? Did you ever have any peaks and valleys? Did you ever struggle at times? And from the cover of Sports Illustrated to now becoming a New York Met, not easy.
No, and a lot of his success came quite easily to him, and he was used to that in his high school days and all the numbers he put up both in football and baseball. So when he hit that first speed bump, you know, it rocked him a little bit. It was hard to figure out how to bounce back from it, how to mentally cope with it. And it was a struggle for him all last year.
Murphy swings late, 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, I really believe that Jeff is going to be back. I think he's as good a human being as one can be. And if the old adage that good things happen to good people is true, you're going to see Jeff Francoeur figure this out.
I have every confidence he will. And a change of venue, maybe just the ticket for him. You know, New York is not a kind place for people who don't star. You know, they love their stars, and they don't understand when somebody struggles. And this year has been a struggle for the Mets.
Not a struggle for Boone Logan. He works a perfect top of the 7th. We stretch with a big lead here at Turner Field.
Glavine or Smoltz?
That's a tough question.
Boy, talk about putting them on the spot. I guess if you just go by wins, Greg Maddox, 355 wins. But Tom Glavine's got over 300 wins. John Smoltz has combined saves and wins over 300.
Now it's really interesting too, because of those three, and you saw them all pitch in the primes of their careers here. Would you have bet that John Smoltz, with all of the elbow and shoulder injuries that he had, he would be the last man standing of that trio and still pitching in 2009?
Probably not. Probably not. But I'll tell you what, there's the all-time win list among Braves. 244, 210, 194, back to back to back. I'll tell you this, if you blindfolded me and you put a dartboard up there with pictures of Maddox, Smoltz, and Glavine, and I needed a starter for Game 7 of the World Series, I could throw a dart and hit any of the three and I'd be happy.
Yeah. Well, Hal Galima has a great stat for you. 16 men with 3,000 strikeouts or more. Only 5 of those 16 finished with fewer than 1,000 walks. Greg Maddox, Fergie Jenkins, Pedro Martinez, Curt Schilling, and John Smoltz.
Wow,
is on that list.
Well, something else about John, he still has the most wins of any pitcher in postseason history, correct?
True. Yep. And the, what, 200 wins, 200 saves thing? So what's unique too is how all three of those guys did it so differently. John was a prototypical power guy. Greg Maddox, as you said, could strike out 10 a game if he wanted, but wanted to work as economically as he could. And of those three, I would say Glavine and Maddox were probably the closest in terms of how they wanted to pitch. Glavine was a contact guy and painted corners too, without an overpowering fastball. And the word on Gary Sheffield, by the way, he left the game with right leg cramps as Escobar cranks one to right center. That's going to bounce into the seats for a double. He's got 3 hits in the game.
Hanging breaking ball, and he doesn't miss that pitch too often. Unfortunately for him, it hit the lip of the grass and bounced into the seats, so he might have had a chance at a triple. Tom Glavine in his career, no slouch in strikeouts, 2,607. Didn't join the 3,000 club, but still a bunch.
And now again, it's time for our look at who's on deck for the Braves, brought to you by the Mercedes-Benz E-Class. Located on the web at mbusa.com/E-Class. I find it highly ironic that we talk about the E-Class about a guy who doesn't have an E all year, but yeah.
No, perfection.
Yes. Good point. Good point. Look, if you want a free car, just come out and say it.
Want a free car.
Okay. One point.
That E-Class, something else. No,
that was shameless.
Yeah, I know.
But I like it.
Brian Church is part of, has become part now of what I said at the break was the Braves MVP, and it was a collective group, and that's the bench. Who's got a better bench than the Braves have had in the first half? And I'm talking about, I consider Diaz, Prado, Infante in the first half, including Prado in that group.
David
Ross. I mean, tremendous work from those guys. Diori Hernandez has played outstanding at shortstop in the absence of Escobar at times. And Brooks Conrad's chipped in too. Played great since he got called up.
Well, they've had to be. You mentioned the injury to Brian McCann, the injury to, or injuries, or the nagging things that have plagued Chipper Jones. Jeff Rancourt getting some days off for the Atlanta club because of his ineffective play at times. Kelly Johnson struggles at the plate.
Guy you just saw, Diaz, hitting .419 this month.
Yikes. Bullet foul by Church. Escobar sat down for a couple of games after disagreeing with an official scorer's call and his reaction to that.
Dr. McCann down at the end of the Braves dugout helping a photographer who got nailed with that hard foul ball.
But you got to have a good bench. You're going to have injuries, and I think one area where Frank Wren does deserve a lot of credit is, how about that tip? That ball popped about 6 inches in the air, and it was caught by Santos for a strikeout for out number 2.
That happened on a big strikeout in Colorado when Brad Hoppen foul tipped a fastball off the glove of McCann, and he raced over and got it. But straight up in the air, just turned his glove over, and that's a strikeout.
Here's Casey Kochman. He extended his hitting streak to 9 games. Has an RBI as well tonight. They have resumed play in Miami now. Phillies 4-1, bottom 6. Phillies lead the division, winners of 10 of their last 11 games, and not surprisingly, they've gotten going because Jimmy Rollins has gotten going, and Kochman keeps on going. He shoots a ball into the right field corner. That'll score Escobar. And Kochman doubles home a run. It's an 11-0 Atlanta blowout.
That's 33 RBIs for Casey Kochman. McLeod leads the team with 49. Escobar now with his good night has 48.
So Conrad bats for Logan, who worked a perfect inning with a strikeout. And this little guy has really brought a whole lot of energy, I think, to this Braves ball club. Brooks Conrad, a guy that just, like Mark Lemke style of play, gives you everything he's got.
Good comparison. Probably a little more pop than Mark. Trey Pendleton talking about his bat speed, both left and right-handed.
And here's another case of the inexact nature of scouting. Brooks Conrad's hit 300 a couple of times as a professional, but never got a chance to stick around a major league club. How in the world does something like that happen?
Well, might have been the people in front of him. Guys in Oakland that were playing middle infield positions ahead of him. Might have stymied his ability to move up.
Two balls, 2 strikes. And that's the part of the game that I think fans so infrequently understand. You can be as good a player as you want, but if you're in the wrong organization at the right time, you're going to have trouble making it to the big leagues and sticking. Conrad might have been that guy with Houston and, of course, with the Oakland Athletics. A pop fly is recorded by Jeremy Reed, and the Braves pick up another run, this time in the 7th inning. A great night in Atlanta. 11-0 as we go to the 8th. Well, a great night for Jair Jurgens and the Braves. Atlanta in command 11-0 after 7. As you look at the new defensive alignment for the Braves, Matt Diaz takes over in left field for Atlanta. Martin Prado moves from second base to third base. Chipper Jones gets the rest of the night off. Brooks Conrad remains in the game. He'll play second base. David Ross becomes the new Atlanta catcher. And Luis Valdez is on to pitch the 8th inning against the New York offense, which has been held to just 2 hits tonight.
Valdez's second appearance. He took a loss Sunday in Colorado, coming into a pressure situation to make his major league debut, and only went 2/3 of an inning, gave up 2 hits, including that double by Brad Hopp to win the game.
International League All-Star and 16 saves. That was second in the International League for the Gwinnett Ball Club.
And had a great year last year at Mississippi.
And nothing wrong with his fastball. That one clocked at 96 miles per hour.
Very good arm. Good stuff. And again, being groomed as a closer, which is where he was last year in Double-A and this year at Triple-A.
Little tapper hit toward third. Martin Prado makes short work of Fernando Tatis. 1 man down.
You mentioned the injury to Sheffield was more cramps than a hamstring pull or strain. That's good news for the Mets.
And a gigantic crowd at the ballpark tonight. Not only for Greg Maddox and the jersey ceremonies, fireworks after the game. 50,704.
It's awesome.
So the Braves averaging 28,000 fans per game. That'll go up a good bit. This season, Atlanta at home has drawn now 1,272,000 fans or thereabouts in 44 home dates. So 27. Make that 37 home dates left for Atlanta.
Great night all around. Great day all around.
Well, you could just see how appreciative Greg Maddox was, how thankful his family was, how gratified the Braves were to have a guy like that wearing their uniform. I think many fans would be surprised, as I was just sitting here and talking to Greg, how soft-spoken he really is.
Well, you just got a shot of him sitting there with his wife Kathy, and while Paige and Chase have grown up a little bit, the third child that she's had to help raise there.
Yes.
Maybe now in retirement he will too.
Yes. She might be ready to ask, when are you going back to work? Baroa hits a ground ball. Conrad the turn, wide throw. And no chance to get Baroa as Santos is forced out at second base. But as Greg said, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Number retired twice this year.
It's good company, as he said.
Yeah.
Great hands tonight for all of the Hall of Famers that were on that stage. Fans always love it when Dale Murphy comes back, but how about the ovation for our pal Pete Van Wieren?
That was great. Good to see Pete and Elaine at the ballpark tonight. Pete was giving Elaine the grand tour of the press box. I don't think she'd been up here since they named the radio booth in Pete's honor. Ground ball to first. Kochman gives ground, wins the race to the bag.
Yeah, I told her if she was eating a bite in the press room, I said, you know, you may not be able to take this kind of excitement every night.
Yeah.
So try to pace yourself.
That's exactly. You got to ease into this kind of thing.
A little look at it. His wife Kathy next to him, his daughter Paige and son Chase, as he was inducted into the Braves Hall of Fame, had his number retired, and the unveiling. And an appreciative crowd of over 50,000 here tonight. Greg's mom and dad here as well. Wonderful for them to get to be here to take part in this too.
Can't imagine what that must be like for Greg's parents. They have not one but two sons play Major League Baseball. One have a rather undistinguished playing career, but now one of the best pitching coaches in the game. And the other son, 355 Major League wins and a World Championship. Boy, what a thrill for them athletically, and not to mention the fact that they're just two tremendous people. I mean,
well, and it's too bad that Mike couldn't be here for this honor. You know, he wanted to be. Rangers are at home with Minnesota tonight.
Sean Green, the pitcher, McLouth, the hitter, and Pagan, the fly ball catcher in center. One out in the Atlanta eighth. McLouth 0 for 5 tonight, 0 for 5 last night, 0 for 10 in the series. As Brian McCann looks on after another big night for him at the plate. Martin Prado, the batter, now 2 out of 4 with, again, the aforementioned third inning home run. Something else to keep in mind, Braves, if they polish off the Mets, and they're going to tonight. The old saying in baseball, when you think about postseason runs, you got to get to 500 first. Braves will get to 500 with this win tonight. Last time they were at 500 was June 12th. Nice play by Tatis. Retires proud of. The Braves were 30-30 when they beat Baltimore that day. Now, the other part of that story is when you look at the Marlins, the Phillies, the Mets, the Braves, and the Nationals. The Braves have the most games remaining within their division of any team in the National League left. And in the National League East this year, the Braves are going to be 18-12 after their first 30. That is something that has to give you great hope as we move on now toward July 31st in August.
With one asterisk, okay?
Yeah.
12 losses, 4 of those to Washington.
Yes.
They've got to play better against the Nationals.
But that has been the Braves' personal kryptonite club for the last couple years, not just this year.
They've got to take care of business against the team with the worst record in baseball. I believe it's still the worst.
Yeah. They got beat again tonight, by the way, by the Cubs. Did the Nationals. But yeah, that's, I mean, look, we talked to Ken Maka on our TBS coverage last week. He said, look, you can talk about favorability of schedule all you want, but I don't think, Maka said, fans understand how hard it is to win any major league game. And that's one of the intriguing things about our sport. Any team can beat any other club on any given day for myriad reasons that go so far beyond just mere numbers. But to your point, if you expect to beat the Phillies, and the Braves were able to do that, the maddening thing about this club is you sweep the Phillies, you go to Washington, drop 2 out of 3.
Yeah, and win the first game.
Yeah.
You're on a real good roll. Leave Washington, go to Chicago, win 2 out of 3 in Chicago. It just didn't, you just couldn't figure it out. Javi Vasquez, you see next to Brown, will be ready to go for his start on Sunday.
Ground ball off the bat of Diaz to short. Burrow loads up. And a nice inning for Sean Green. 1-2-3 retires Atlanta in the 8th inning. Braves need 3 outs to celebrate and put a capper on what's been a wonderful night of baseball at Turner Field in Atlanta.
Now, if you haven't noticed already, Family Guy and House of Pain have moved. That's right. Everybody's favorite families are now back-to-back right here on Peachtree TV. First, starting at 7, it's a full hour of Family Guy. Then at 8, it's Primetime Pain with back-to-back episodes of House of Pain. Family Guy at 7, House of Pain at 8, right here on Peachtree TV.
Well, Turner Field's been a house of pain for the Mets tonight, hasn't it? Look at that, just 2 hits for this New York club, a club that was shut out only 1 time in the first 60 games when by and large they were healthy. But in the last month, Joe, they've been shut out 6 times. This could be number 7. And a lot of long faces by the New York National fan base tonight.
Their hits tonight, a double by Sheffield leading off the 2nd, and a 1-out double by Wright in the 4th. That's it.
So Chris Medlin now becomes the 4th Atlanta pitcher. Boone Logan a perfect frame. Valdez an inning. Medlin now will try to finish things off, preserve the shutout, and this allows Bobby Cox to rest Peter Moylan, rest Rafael Soriano. Mike Gonzalez unavailable for the next couple of days, it would appear. And as good as that trio has been, you do have to be careful of overusing them. I think those three guys are in the top 4 in appearances in the National League already.
Yeah, Moylan at the top. The Mets are beginning a pretty long road trip. There's Peter on your right, Mike with the jacket on. After they finish up here in Atlanta Sunday evening, they go to Washington for 3, have a day off, and then are at Houston for 3. Houston's playing good ball.
Well, David Wright has said, look, I'm tired of talking about who we don't have on our ball club. And I respect that and I admire that. But the fact of the matter is, Reyes, Delgado, and Beltran make them a legitimate division contender. Without them, they're not the same. As you see David Wright talking about something he sees with Jeff Francoeur's stroke.
Yeah, you like that? Something maybe he's already noticed. Howard Johnson is their hitting coach. Or maybe just discussing one of his philosophies.
Brian Schneider bats for the pitcher. Green went a spotless inning. And Medlin comes off the mound awkwardly. David Ross out to talk about that. Maybe there were mixed signals on that last pitch.
Yeah, his foot slipped a little bit. He kind of missed the foothold.
Mentioned the Astros, they're putting it to Chad Billingsley and the Dodgers tonight. 4-0. They're winning again. Dodgers were shut out. Manny Ramirez's first game back after his suspension in LA. Miguel Tejada has hit a first inning home run for Houston.
Oswalt pitching for Houston.
Rockies 1-0 over the Padres on a Clint Barmas first inning homer. Albert Pujols has hit another home run.
Second of the night.
Yep, 34th of the year. Kochman scoops that up. One more out to get. So the races, as they often do, starting to crystallize and clarify themselves right around July 21st and July 31st. And we talk so much about how tough it is for GMs to evaluate where they are. Well, as it so often happens in life, those things take care of themselves, don't they? Crowd on its feet as they want to see the Braves finish off New York in grand fashion.
Barry Switzer once said, Chip, that when you're playing college football, the first quarter there's a lot of adrenaline and anything can happen against anybody. But over the course of 4 quarters, talent prevails.
Yeah.
And that same could be applied to what you're talking about, over 162.
Every team wins 54. Every team loses 54. It really is what you do, as the cliche said, with the 54 in the middle. And I think Barry's right. Way high, ball 3, 3 balls and a strike. But the Braves tonight and last night doing what they certainly needed to do. This is a demoralized Mets ball club, and Atlanta has shown them absolutely no mercy.
And tomorrow Kawakami goes for the Braves, and he's coming off a couple of very good starts back to back. Pitched outstanding at Coors Field his last time out. So he'll match up with Santana, and you know that's always a battle.
Yep.
But as you pointed out, Santana has been human this year.
He's still tremendous. Don't misunderstand.
Yeah.
But that'll be a big test as Reed continues his 9th inning battle for New York.
Well, as I said at the beginning of this series, if you win games, you're going to gain ground on somebody, because Phillies and Marlins are playing. And even if the Phillies keep winning, you gain ground on the Marlins. That's a 4-2 game now. Phillies on top, and the Braves could move into a tie with Florida for second place if those scores remain.
Ideal situation would be Braves sweep the Mets, Phillies and Marlins split. And the Braves have taken care of the first half of that equation in this 4-game series. They dominate the Mets, as Greg Maddox said, just like the good old days. 11-0. They throw a 2-hit shutout out in New York. The Mets blanked for the 7th time in their last 29 games. And the Braves are finally, at long last, back at the 500 mark for the first time in a little over 1 month this year. There's your final score, 11-0 Atlanta, the victory. Back to cap it up for you right after this.